Once again, you will have a test on everything we've done with Unit 4. My guess is on Thursday, the latest Friday. I could probably make it Wednesday, but we'll be nice and we'll review. With everything that we've done, I feel like today's lesson is the easiest. Do you need to know how to get it into slope-intercept form? Well, you don't have to know how to get it into slope-intercept form, but you need slope-intercept form. Do you need to know how to graph? You don't need to know how to graph, but you need to know how to look at a graph. Today's lesson really only comes to two things. What two things do you think we're going to need for today's lesson based off of the warm-up? Two things, Gracie? M and B. So, we are in Unit 4. We are still graphing. This is day, what feels like 1,300. Is it day 9?
10.
Day 10. So, what we're doing today is going to be writing the linear equation. So we're physically going to write the equation today. Did you move this? Okay. What equation have we been using for every linear thing that we've done? What has been our equation? Because we've only used one. What equation have we been using? Haley, what do you think?
Y equals mx plus b.
Good. The equation that we've been using is y equals mx plus b. What is this called? What is this equation called? Come on, I should have everybody's hands up because we've talked about this a bunch. I've got 2 right now, I need more. What is this equation? I've got 3, 4. I'll wait. If you need to go back in your notes to figure out what it's called, that's fine. But what is y equals mx plus b? It was even in the warm-up. There's 7. One of them wasn't for 3 more. So if you don't know it, look in your notes. There's 8, 9. I need one more. There's 10. Alyssa, what's it called?
Slope-intercept form.
Good. This is slope-intercept form. Listen to it again. Slope-intercept form. There are 2 things that we need for this equation. What 2 things do we need for slope-intercept form? Give me one, Caleb. For slope-intercept form. Listen again. You ready? Slope-intercept form. Okay, say that. Okay, the first thing that we're going to need is slope. My slope is the m. And you have seen these notes before. M is my slope. Slope is written for us in what way? How are we going to find it, Maya? Very good. Rise over run. We're counting. When we count rise, we count both up and down. When we count run, we are only going to count to the right. So, again, this form is called slope-intercept form. So far we've gotten the slope taken care of. We're missing one other thing.
Is that Y-intercept?
Yeah, the Y-intercept. And that's important. So on Friday, I saw a lot of you getting confused between the X-intercept and the Y-intercept. Today, and always, the B is the Y-intercept. What did we call the Y-intercept? Go ahead, Emma. The starting point. Okay? You must know slope-intercept form. You must know how to get it isolated. What are we isolating? The y. My m is the variable that takes the place of slope. So the number in front of the x is my slope. My constant is my y-intercept. This is what's going to tell me where to start my graph. We did this. We did this on a quiz. You've done this portion on a quiz where I've said graph. And I've given you the equation y equals negative 2/3 x plus 1. Okay? We've done this, yes? And they've given you a graph. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Before we started graphing, what did I ask you to have? What two things did I ask you to have before we started graphing, Sammy?
Y and X.
No. Emma.
M equals B.
What m equals and what b equals. So what do we need, Sammy?
What M equals and B.
Yeah, what m equals and what b equals. Not y and x, because those are an ordered pair that we don't know. Okay, so we need m and b. So Sammy, what's my m?
Negative 2/3.
And we know m is my slope. Swill, what's my y-intercept? 1. So my b equals 1. On your graphs, this is where I saw the mistakes. This is my x-axis. This is my y-axis. Y goes up and down. It's vertical. So my y-intercept has to cross this axis. Does everybody understand that? So if my starting point is positive 1, we start at the origin. We go up 1. Don't move your pencil tip. What does my slope say, Bianca?
Negative 2/3.
Negative 2/3. Negative 2 goes which direction, Maddie?
Negative 2 goes down.
Good, so I'm going to count. Down, 1, 2. We've done our rise. Now we need to do the run, Alyssa. Which way do I go?
Right.
Right, how many?
1 or 2. Not 3.
Okay, so which one? So 1, 2, or 3?
3.
3. Because my slope is negative 2, which is down 2, run of 3. So I go down 1, 2, 3. And now I graph. Questions there? That's how, yes, ma'am.
So would you always put the negative with the rise?
For us, yes. Okay.
So how would you know to go left?
Are we ever going left? Okay. Could I find the slope of this graph? If I looked at it, could I find the slope? Well, from left to right, what's it doing? Going uphill or downhill? Which way? Cody? Downhill. It's going down 1, 2, over 1, 2, 3. Well, if it's downhill, I know that it's negative 2/3, right? We can find that. I've asked you to find slopes of graph. We know how to graph, so let's do that. Let's find slope. So far, all we're doing is review. So I want you to find the slope of this graph. I'm going to give you a minute. Find the slope of this graph. And we'll work our way through it. So you're going to need to copy it down. You're going to have to do rise over run. You need to find the slope of the graph. Good job, Dave. Okay, babe. What did you get?
I got 5 over 1.
5 over 1. Which letter is slope? M. So I could say M equals. We know that slope always has to be what? What does slope always have to be, Evan? A fraction. So when I write my slope, I put M equals and a fraction bar. And then I look at it. Is it going uphill or downhill from left to right? Uphill, which means it's positive. So I start on the point farthest to the left, bless you. And I count. I'm going to do my rise. So I'm going to make a triangle. And I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's my rise. My run to the right is just 1. D got it absolutely correct. 5/1. Questions there? Here's my other question. If I looked at this graph and said, do I have a B? What does B stand for? Maddie?
Y-intercept.
Y-intercept. Is this line crossing my y-axis somewhere? Emma, where's it crossing my y-axis? Say it. Yeah. So here's my y-axis. There's 0, 1, 2. Well, that's at -3. So I've got M, I've got B. Could I write an equation for this line? You're nodding. We found the slope by counting. We know the y-axis because it crosses that y. So I could write y equals mx plus b. That's slope-intercept form, right? Can we substitute m and b? So the equation for this line is y equals 5/1 x minus 3. When we're writing the equation of a line, we need 2 things and only 2 things. What 2 things do we need? What 2 things do we have to write the equation of a line? What do you think, Mason? What 2 letters?
M and B.
M and B. You need your slope. You need your y-intercept. That's it. So here's what you're going to do. All I want you to do, you're not writing the equation yet. You're finding M, find B. So find slope and y-intercept. Okay, you're going to find your slope, you're going to find your y-intercept.
Haley Ross to the office, please.
Haley, you need to go to the office. So, find your slope, find your y-intercept. Oh no, what happened? Oh, listen. You're finding your slope, you're finding your y-intercept. Make sure you count them correctly. So here's my question. Which is going to be easier to find, the slope or the y-intercept? What do you think, Cody? The y-intercept. Remember how we said my b is my starting point? That's the place that we're going to want to start when we're finding our equation as well. So my b is my y-intercept. Where does it cross the y-axis? Brooklyn, where do you think it crosses the y-axis? At what number? I can't hear you. Yeah, at 4. So here's 0. Up 1, 2, 3, 4. So my b is positive 4. We good there? Remember, when we do slope, slope is always a fraction. Looking at this line, is it going uphill or downhill, Oscar? Downhill, which means my slope has to be what? Positive or negative? Negative. So I'm going to put a negative fraction. And then we count from my left dot down. Notice how I've already made the triangle. Down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I've got negative 9 over 1, 2, 3. Alyssa, am I good with negative 9 over 3?
No.
Why not? What can we do with it?
Simplify it.
Yeah, we can simplify it. It's both divisible by 3. So my m equals negative 3 over 1. Once you have m, once you have b, can we write the equation? Finding m and b is the only tough part of this whole thing, because writing the equation will always be y equals mx plus b. That's slope-intercept form. Now that we've got m, we substitute in negative 3 over 1. My b is positive, so I put a plus 4. Is that correct?
No.
Why not, Gracie?
Because there's no x.
There's no x. You have to put the x with it. For as much as we'd love to forget our x's, it's tough to. Questions? Okay, let's do another one. Especially when you've been married for 1 year, 11 months, and 13 days, and it was miserable, and all you wanted was out. I'm not saying that happened to anybody in this room.
It was bad.
It was bad.
Remember I told you guys about that? It wasn't.
Whoa! Yeah, good job. Go ahead and start those rumors. See how that works. Okay, here we go. So now, I want you to write the equation of the line. So you're writing the equation of the line. I'm going to give you a graph. You're writing the equation. This one's going to be a little bit tricky. You're writing the equation. So you should always start off by saying m equals b equals. Oh, that's you.
I just wanted to really want
Yeah.
I thought you
This is mine, not this one.
no big deal.
points there. Very good. It's right by my marker. It's right next to my water. Chuck it.
No.
Oh, it's just Mason.
Yeah, that's why I don't throw things.
Okay, so need two things. We need M equals. We need B equals. Which is easier, Maya? M or B? Okay. If M's easier for you, that's not where I would start. I would always start with the starting point. But if M's easier, how would I find M? What do I need to do?
So like the most, so you start at the top one and you go over one. Wait, what?
Not quite. That's all right. So Maya got a little bit confused. There's no problems with that. It's going to be a fraction, right? We know that. We always start with the point farthest to the left. Which point's farthest left? This point here, right? So rise. Are we counting up or down? Up how many?
4.
1, 2, 3, 4. How many do we have to run?
1.
So my slope is 4 over 1. Is that what you got?
Yeah.
Beautiful. B is my starting point. Where are we starting, Alyssa?
At 0.
At 0. The origin is 0. So when I write this equation, we know it's y equals mx plus b. Well, my m is 4 over 1x. And I'm going to talk up Brendan here a little bit. Brendan said, I put plus 0, but couldn't it also be a minus 0? I said, absolutely. Because having 0 does nothing to the equation. So do we even need to have that 0 there? No. The best way to write this is y equals 4 over 1x. And leave the 0 off. Very good. Questions on that? So there are two things that you need to do. You need to find your slope. You need to find your y-intercept. So one more, and then I'll let you get started on your own. Stay. Let's go. Write the equation on the line. It's going very well. Can you simplify this? Wait, before you do that, what way is the line going? Uphill or downhill? So what happens when it's downhill? Expand.
So then the run is.
Okay, Peyton, you're new. I gotta pick on you a little bit. You ready? Okay. So what two things do we have to find to write the equation?
I'm gonna have to remember these
That's
things
all right.
better. The slope, and the y-intercept.
Very good. What letter is my slope?
Dang it. Wait. Negative.
No, what letter is the slope?
What letter? Oh, it's in.
M. So M equals, and we know slope has to be a fraction. And then we've got B equals, which is my what? What's B stand for?
Y-intercept.
Y-intercept. Which is easier to find, my slope or my y-intercept?
Well, for me it's the y-intercept.
Yeah, me too. So y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. So where does it cross the y-axis? At what number?
-2.
Very good. Okay, so I picked on Peyton enough. Abby, I'm gonna pick on you. Is my line going uphill or downhill? Which means what happens with my slope? Is it positive or negative? Very good. So I know this has to be negative. I can make my triangle. I'm going down 1, 2, 3. Now I run 1, 2, 3. Abby, can I leave that as -3/3? What should it simplify down to? What?
1?
1/1?
No. Negative?
-1/1. So now that I have those two things, we can substitute into y equals mx plus b. Y equals -1/1x minus 2. Questions on how we do this? Anything?
No.
Okay.